let's go. Hey, are you ready? It's time for the P-Womp Show. Hey, are you ready? It's time for the P-Womp Show. Hey, P-Womps. Hey, P-Womps.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, P-Womps.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the P-Womp Show. And once again, we are talking about sports. We are in the West Coast studio, and what a terrific weekend we had in the world of sports. Particularly, let's start with Wild Card Weekend in the National Football League. Boy, oh boy, folks, things got started on Saturday. We had two doozies of games, okay? Starting out in Carolina, Bryce Young gives one of the best games of his young career in the National Football League against the LA Rams. Everybody thought going into this game, Rams were going to steamroll. They were going to go into Carolina. They were going to take down the 8-9 Panthers, who were the NFC South champions, by kind of backing in. They lost their last two games of the season. They didn't really earn the NFC South crown, but they were the champs. So everybody thought the Rams were going to go in there and beat them up. Guess what? The Rams proved people wrong. Rico Dowdle was outstanding on the ground. Bryce Young, phenomenal through the air, but they do come up short. Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, these guys once again proving why the Rams are such a threat in the NFC. Sean McVay was thrilled with the performance. He says, "We are writing our story right now. Why not us?" The Rams go into Carolina. They get a big win. That was our 5 and 4 seed game, folks. The Rams get it done in Carolina. Now, what was our second game? Oh, you thought the first one was good. We've got a game between two NFC North rivalries, one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL between the Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur, and the Chicago Bears head coach Ben Johnson. First of all, that's a rivalry in its own now. I won't go into that because there's some language I don't want to bring up on the show that's been going on with Ben Johnson directed at Matt LaFleur and vice versa. But what a game this was. We start out the first half where the Bears could get nothing going. Their offense was atrocious. The defense, atrocious. Jordan Love, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, they could do no wrong. Packers were putting up points left and right. Caleb Williams was on the bench leaning his head back doing his signature head roll. Nothing was going right. We go into the locker room. Ben Johnson, locker room speech. It changed things, folks. Soldier Field, all of a sudden the crowd was alive, and this Bears offense, the comeback kids, were back. The Bears get it done. DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore. Shout out to tight end Christian Loveland with some huge receptions in crunch time in this game. They shut down the Packers offense, and the Bears get a win at Soldier Field. For a moment, it looked pretty dire, but the Bears get the job done. That was Saturday. Let's get to Sunday. Then we had 3 games going on. It all started with that game between the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars in Duval County. And boy, oh boy, the Jags came out firing. Trevor Lawrence looked outstanding. Brendan Strange, he played really well. There was a lot of positive signs for the Jags. A lot of people saying, can the Jags knock off a Buffalo Bills team led by Josh Allen with so many weapons? We got to find out. Dalton Kincaid, he was excellent again for the Bills. It's interesting. You think of Josh Allen, it's so weird this year to not have Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. And hey, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a big Chiefs fan, but it is weird not having Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce in the postseason. We've had them in there for so many years, and to not see the Chiefs logo up on this board, it's kind of a weird feeling. I'll tell you that right now. And the fact that they finished third in the AFC West, that's still really surprising. But guess what happens? The Bills do go into Duval County. They get a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's head over to Philadelphia. Philadelphia, the Eagles, they were the 3 seed in the NFC, taking on the 6-seeded San Francisco 49ers. We start with some injury news right off the bat. Prayers going out to tight end George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He's got a torn Achilles. He was carted off. A lot of reports coming out saying this could be a career-threatening injury because of his age. George, we really hope to see you back out on the field. You are a fun player to watch. We wish you all the best in your recovery and hope it is very speedy, as they would say at McDonald's. So, keep going on this game. Niners pulled out all the stops. Kyle Juszczyk, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk. The Niners look good. Mystery relevant Brock Purdy. They lead this team, and guys, they took down the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, I said on the show just right before Wild Card Weekend, not a name you want to have for a team. People were calling the Eagles the boring team in the playoffs. That is not a name you want to hear about your team going into the playoffs. Could the Eagles just break this little phrase and actually show some excitement and get us excited? No, they couldn't. A.J. Brown, there were problems. They were having major confrontations. Nick Sirianni got into it with A.J. Brown on the sideline. Saquon struggled. Jalen Hurts didn't have his best game. Dallas Goedert didn't have his best game. A lot of things went wrong for the Eagles, and guess what? They're now at home on the couch eating Doritos watching the rest of the playoffs. So not where you want to be. And again, the most boring team in the NFL, I'm not saying that. That's the name we're hearing, is back home on the couch. Niners move on. They will get the Seattle Seahawks in a rematch from just that final week of the NFL season where we had a great game in Santa Clara when the Niners hosted the Seahawks and Sam Darnold went into Santa Clara and knocked off the Niners. That clinched the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs. Let's keep it rolling. Sunday night, what do we have happen? We had the New England Patriots and the LA Chargers, and folks, this was an ugly game. The Chargers put up 3 points. They couldn't keep Justin Herbert off the ground. He was getting sacked left and right. And Drake May and Travion Henderson and Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry, Mike Vrabel's got to be thrilled with the performance his guys had, because guess what? New England, your playoff journey continues. Big win over the Chargers. The Chargers are back home at SoFi Stadium. They're done for the year. And then our last game, 5 seed and 4 seed, the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, on paper, 5 and 4 should be a great game, right? Not in this case. The Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins in concussion protocol. We don't know if he's going to be available this weekend. Hopefully he is. We'll keep an eye on it. They go into Pittsburgh and they dominate. Aaron Rodgers really struggled. And this game, it went so poorly that we've got our next little bit of news that is got to be talked about, folks. Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, he is stepping down after 19 seasons. That is a big-time number. If you get to be an NFL coach of one team for 19 years, you've done something right. Mike Tomlin's a heck of a coach, but get this number. 0-9 in their last 9 playoff appearances. They have not won in the playoffs in 9 years. Steelers fans do not like that. What I'll tell you about Mike Tomlin, I'm an AFC North fan. I'm a Bengals fan. I obviously like to let everybody know that. It is very weird this year because obviously the Bengals have kept Zach Taylor, as I've reported on the show and as I think a lot of you have heard by now. They're sticking with Zach Taylor. They're sticking with Duke Tobin. But get this, Mike Tomlin, he's gone. Not with the Steelers anymore. Hey, Mr. Harbaugh, he's gone from the Ravens. Kevin Stefanski is gone from the Browns. 3 of the 4 head coaching vacancies are now in the AFC North. Zach Taylor should be gone. He's not. But this is a very interesting time now. You get to come in. Think about if you could be a head coach of one of these 3 teams. I'm not talking about the Bengals, clearly. You come in. If you come into the Steelers, yeah, you're coming into a fantastic franchise. You don't know who your quarterback is. Aaron Rodgers' future is uncertain. But you're coming into the Steelers. Heck of a franchise. If you're coming into the Ravens, you're getting to work with Lamar Jackson. You're getting to work with Derrick Henry. That's a job people have got to be salivating at a little bit. How about if you're the head coach of the Cleveland Browns? Well, a little different, but you get to be the head coach of Shedeur Sanders. You're going to be talking to Dion a lot, but there's a lot going on. That is where we stand right now. I also want to tell you real quickly these other matchups that we have going on. Look at this real quickly. So the Buffalo Bills are playing the Denver Broncos, okay? That's going to be a great game, but they're a 6 seed. The Bills are the 6th seed. They're going into Denver as the favorites, okay? Then how about this? The LA Rams, they're going into Chicago in the NFC on Sunday afternoon, and guess what? They are the favorites as the 5 seed going to take on the 2 seed. Then you've got the Patriots playing the Texans. The Patriots they're going to be favored in that game. And then lastly, you've got another great NFC game that we've all been excited about, the Niners going to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. A lot of great games. With that being said, that wraps up the NFL. Let's get to college football. We got to talk about this now as we're sitting here at this board, and we've got to look back on these journeys that these teams have taken to get to the national championship. It's that time. We've got 2 teams left in the college football season. How crazy is that? But it's the truth. 2 teams. Let's take a look at the Miami Hurricanes. They were the 10 seed. They were the last team in, theoretically. Okay, everybody was arguing, hey, should Notre Dame get the nod? Should Miami? The committee went with Miami. Mario Cristobal was thrilled. Let's take a look at the journey. They took down Marcel Reed and Texas A&M, and they looked dang good in doing so. Texas A&M did nothing. It was a boring game. I'll say that right off the bat. This game was hard to watch, but guess what? Sometimes you have to have games that are hard to watch in order to get to that next game. Miami did that. They took on Ohio State. Everyone, a lot of folks, had it all thinking Ohio State, baby. They're going to be back. They're going to be right here. They're going to be in that next round. Guess what? It didn't happen. Miami takes down Ohio State. Are you kidding me? Now the ACC, these Hurricanes have some people talking. Okay, who do they have next? No, just Trinidad Chambliss and Pete Golding and the Ole Miss Rebels. Well, surely the SEC Rebels, who at this point had just knocked off Georgia, are going to take out the Hurricanes, right? Ladies and gentlemen, no. No, they are not. Miami gets the win. They are in the national championship. Let's look at our other team in Indiana. Look at their journey. Alabama and Oklahoma. Everyone was looking at this matchup. Okay, winner of this game, good chance they knock off Indiana. That's what was going on. Who did it? It was Alabama. So then that went up a little bit. People were like, oh boy, Crimson Tide, they could knock off Indiana. We got the Rose Bowl, Indiana and Alabama. Guess what, folks? Curt Cignetti says, no, you don't. Indiana made plays. At the granddaddy of them all, in Pasadena, the Hoosiers make it happen, folks. Who do we have next? Well, the winner of Oregon and Texas Tech, it was the Oregon Ducks. And I tell you what, Oregon looked mighty good in this game against Texas Tech. They killed them. That's why a lot of people thought we're going to have a great game between Oregon and Indiana. That wasn't the case. The game started with Dante Moore throwing a pick 6. Indiana, Fernando Mendoza was outstanding. The Hoosiers look dominant. And that is where we stand now, ladies and gentlemen. 2 teams to go. Take a look at this. You've got Indiana and you've got Miami. It's the national championship game, the 1 seed and the 10 seed. And when you look at this matchup where you've got 2 teams here that are going to be playing now in this final, that's what we've got, Indiana and Miami. So look how exciting this is going to be. Again, a team that nobody thought really should be in the playoff. A lot of people were thinking Miami, the ACC, Duke was their conference champion. Let's just leave the Hurricanes out. The ACC's not representing, but they've been dominant as of late. Their defense has been phenomenal. And then you have the Indiana Hoosiers, who have been on this Cinderella ride. Now they just have to finish the chapter. They have to finish the story. Oh, I'm quoting Cody Rhodes in WWE. Finish the story. Can the Hoosiers do it? It's going to be a tougher task. We're in Miami. It's almost a home game for the Miami Hurricanes at Hard Rock Stadium. Folks, number 1 seed Indiana. The 10 seed Miami Hurricanes, 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern on Monday. That is our national championship. Let's keep going now. Let's get to our next couple of sports. We got the Miami Redhawks. I got to talk about this real quickly. I really do, because there's something really interesting going on in the world of college basketball right now. First of all, college hoops. I mean, we're in January. Conference games are going on. I can report, by the way, the Miami Redhawks, they did just knock off Central Michigan today at home. They're undefeated still. But let's take a look at this. There are 5 undefeated teams left in Division I. The Arizona Wildcats. Tommy Lloyd, he has got these Wildcats playing some great basketball. They're number 1 in the country, and they're number 1 for a reason. They've looked dominant. Okay, who else do we have? How about the Vanderbilt Commodores? Yeah, a team that a lot of people didn't see coming. They're now in the top 10. They're still undefeated, and they are a team you don't want to see on the schedule. They're dangerous. Okay, that's 2. Who are the other 2 you're talking about, P-Womps? Well, how about the number 2 team in the country, the Iowa State Cyclones? Okay, another team that speeds it up. They can get up and down the court. They're great on the glass. And boy, oh boy, can they play some defense. The Cyclones are the number 2 team in the country. They're still undefeated. Wait, who's the 4th team? I've talked about them a little bit. It's Fran Hoiberg's Nebraska Cornhuskers. Okay, so they are the Indiana of this year. Okay, Indiana in football, nobody really saw the Indiana Hoosiers as a threat in recent history in college football. They just didn't. Maybe a couple of years where Michael Penix was there, people were like, the Hoosiers are playing a little bit better. But guess what? It really wasn't a thing. Same goes for Nebraska in basketball. I mentioned a couple episodes ago, my friend out in northern Michigan, shout out to Scotty, he always said Nebraska's main sport, when Nebraska people were filling the bars, it was to watch women's volleyball. And hey, that's awesome. Get to the bar. Go support all your collegiate athletes. Now it's basketball. The Nebraska Cornhuskers are undefeated. They've knocked off Michigan State. They've knocked off Iowa. They are playing some great basketball, folks. They went into the Breslin Center and knocked off Tom Izzo's Spartans. That is a gutsy win, and one that Fran Hoiberg needed to build this tournament resume and prove they are legit. But those are 4. So that's why we have Miami on this screen. The Redhawks are now 17-0 after this win today over the Central Michigan Chippewas, the Chips of Central Michigan. Here's all I know. Being undefeated is one thing. If you told me, hey, the Miami Redhawks, they're 1-0, yeah, nobody's thinking, okay, put them in the top 25. When you go 17-0, I don't care how difficult your schedule is, winning 17 games in a row is no small feat. That is a tough thing to do. The Redhawks have a test. On Saturday, they are at home against the 13-3 Buffalo Bulls out of the Mid-American Conference. We got a MAC game. It's going to be a good one. I believe if the Redhawks get a win on Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see them flying in to the top 25. That's what I think. Will it happen? I believe so. Will the committee think so? We'll have to wait and see. But for now, I think so. P. Womps thinks we're going to see the Redhawks in the top 25. Let's keep it going. So now we get to our next topic here. That is a big one, folks. It is 2026, and guess what it's time for? From Milan, the Winter Olympics are back. And I tell you, everybody, watching the Olympics, whether it's summer or winter, you talk about a great little event that you get to watch, and it represents your country. You are rooting for your country. You're rooting for country pride. It is fun. Now, the Winter Olympics, they're going to be covered, again, all by NBC, as they always are. NBC loves to have the Summer Olympics, loves to have the Winter Olympics. They've got the trials going on right now, which are on TV a lot of the times on NBC and on the NBC Sports Network, so you can check those out on various nights. I just saw figure skating going on a couple of nights ago. Love to see that. I do want all of you to know I'm going to be providing a lot of coverage for the Winter Olympics, but one thing I have to tell you, I have a friend of mine who in high school, and I did not even know this until recently, he was a curler. Curling is my favorite sport to watch at the Winter Olympics. Hey, I'm not coordinated. I can't ice skate at all. I mean, I would wipe out in about 2 seconds if you put me on the ice right now. But I tell you what, for some reason, when they do that little curl and the next thing you know, they come with the brooms and aggressively swipe the floor, I'm like, man, get me out there. I want to try some curling. But there are tons of events to watch at the Winter Olympics. The opening ceremony is February 6th. And then with that, folks, the games will begin. Big time for all the countries. It's the Olympics. Let's have some fun. I'll have the coverage here as well, and you can watch NBC to watch it all go down live. It's going to be a fun time. Let's keep it going. Next, we got another great one, ladies and gentlemen. In the coming weeks, the Australian Open. And folks, I do have to tell you right now, I will not be in Melbourne down under. I will not be down under in Melbourne. I can go to Outback Steakhouse and act like I am. Maybe, it's always fresh at the Outback. No, don't worry. I'm kidding. But the Australian Open going on in Melbourne, and you get to see some of the top tennis players in action. It is the first major on the tennis calendar. Obviously, 4 majors, folks. If you didn't know that, 4 majors in tennis that a lot of people want to watch. It all starts with the Australian Open. Then we get the French Open, followed by Wimbledon, and then the U.S. Open. If you haven't watched tennis before, especially at the majors, this is the time to watch. You can watch guys like Carlos Alcaraz, Daniil Medvedev, Jannik Sinner, Novak Djokovic. I mean, you've got players all around who are at the top of their game kicking some tail. On the women's side, Aryna Sabalenka, Coco Gauff. How about Madison Keys? How about Ons Jabeur? You've got phenomenal talent that you get to watch, whether it's singles, whether it's doubles. By the way, Venus Williams, wild card entry to the Australian Open. She will be back on the court playing singles. It's going to be exciting to watch. I'm ready for it. The Australian Open starts in the coming weeks, and it'll be on all the ESPN networks for you to check out. Let's keep it going. We get to our next little final bit of news here that we have to talk about. Brooks Koepka, who was on the LIV Tour in Saudi Arabia. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? He is back on the PGA Tour. I saw Tiger Woods doing an interview with Scott Van Pelt today. He's so excited to have Brooks back. He says this is a great opportunity for the PGA. The PGA wants to have the top golfers and the most exciting content they can have on the course. And by having Brooks back, that helps that out tremendously. Brooks, welcome back to the PGA Tour. It's glad to have you. We're glad to have you back. I can't wait to see him back out there participating in all these big-time tournaments. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to say I'm in a hurry to see the Masters because that means March Madness will have been over. But reminder, in April, we'll be back at Augusta, and it's time for the Masters. That's the PWOM Sports Show. If you like what you saw today, everybody, why don't you do me a favor? Click subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. What do you think of all these head coaching vacancies? Who's going to move on in the divisional round of the playoffs? Do you think Miami should be in the top 25? Who's going to do well at the Australian Open? Which countries are you rooting on in the Winter Olympics? What's your favorite Winter Olympic event? Let me know, folks. Have a good one. I'll see you in just a couple days for the entertainment show, and I'll talk to you soon.